inside the Neutron app, so you can see how healthy or unhealthy your water actually is. These are the worst waters we tested in 2026. First on the list is Topo Chico, coming in at 38 out of 100, due to it having the highest amount of forever chemicals, or PFAs, out of any bottled water. Second, Kirkland Signature Water, coming in at 41 out of 100, due to it having 9 times the health guideline of trihalomethanes, which are a known endocrine disruptor and damage your reproductive system. Third, a surprising one we tested was Mountain Valley Spring Water, which turned out was okay, but did have very high amounts of arsenic, 40 times the recommended guideline. Then we have Walmart Spring Water, scoring at 25 out of 100 due to having 10 times the recommended amount of radium-226 and 228, along with high amounts of bromine. The famous Fiji Water scored 25 out of 100 as well, due to having high heavy metal content such as chromium, arsenic, even some forever chemicals as well. And finally, Essentia scored 10 out of 100 due to having trihalomethanes, forever chemicals, bromate, and some phthalates. We analyze and review every water brand and publish the complete findings inside the Neutron app, so you can see how healthy or unhealthy your water actually is. These are the worst waters we tested in 2026. First on the list is Topo Chico, coming in at 38 out of 100, due to it having the highest amount of forever chemicals, or PFAs, out of any bottled water. Second, Kirkland Signature Water, coming in at 41 out of 100, due to it having 9 times the health guideline of trihalomethanes, which are a known endocrine disruptor and damage your reproductive system. Third, a surprising one we tested was Mountain Valley Spring Water, which turned out was okay, but did have very high amounts of arsenic, 40 times the recommended guideline. Then we have Walmart Spring Water, scoring at 25 out of 100 due to having 10 times the recommended amount of radium-226 and 228, along with high amounts of bromate. The famous Fiji Water scored 25 out of 100 as well, due to having high heavy metal content such as chromium, arsenic, even some forever chemicals as well. And finally, Essentia scored 10 out of 100 due to having trihalomethanes, forever chemicals, bromate, and some phthalates. We analyze and review every water brand and publish the complete findings inside the Neutron app, so you can see how healthy or unhealthy your water actually is. These are the worst waters we tested in 2026. First on the list is Topo Chico, coming in at 38 out of 100, due to it having the highest amount of forever chemicals, or PFAs, out of any bottled water. Second, Kirkland Signature Water, coming in at 41 out of 100, due to it having 9 times the health guideline of trihalomethanes, which are a known endocrine disruptor and damage your reproductive system. Third, a surprising one we tested was Mountain Valley Spring Water, which turned out was okay, but did have
poll asking Americans how they felt about the Epstein file release, and only 3 to 6% say that they were satisfied with how much information had been made public, which means that the vast majority of the country, across political lines, walked away believing that they weren't being told the full story. But over the last year, 4 separate waves of files were released, and somehow, the more that were released, the worse everything got. So in this video, we're going to walk through these 4 releases and see how each one of them slowly reshaped what millions of Americans believed about justice itself, and just how dangerous this impact will be on our society. Now, this whole story is ironic because just a little over a year ago, it seemed that we were all on the same page.
There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth.
For a brief moment, Americans across the entire political spectrum all agreed on one thing.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Now, this matters because for years, Americans believed that the powerful institutions would never expose their own, and we would never know the truth about who committed those horrendous crimes with Epstein. So when Trump ran again promising to drain corruption, millions of Americans saw the possibility of exposure. Maybe the truth would come out after all.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. And for a lot of people, that confirmed exactly what they wanted to believe. But the full exchange told a slightly different story.
Yeah, I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Maybe that was the first small signal that transparency might not be guaranteed despite the promises. But still, when he was reelected in January of last year, the hope only continued to grow stronger. For the first time in years, millions of Americans were starting to believe that the powerful might finally be forced into the light. Justice might be finally coming. A month after Trump took office, the Attorney General and Trump's lawyer intensified anticipation as they teased the release of a list.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it.
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable.
So it was coming. And then on February 27th, the moment finally arrived. Bondi personally handed binders labeled the Epstein Files Phase 1 to 15 right-wing influencers at a White House meeting attended by Trump, Vance, and FBI Director Kash Patel. So it looked like the beginning of something big. However, the contents inside of the folders led to even more confusion. Most of it was already known publicly, and there weren't any major new revelations. So the influencers seemed to be genuinely confused, and so did some of the officials as well. This all led to the introduction of this. This right here is a bipartisan bill called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It was put forth as an attempt to force the DOJ to release all of the materials related to the Epstein case. And while all of this was going on, the DOJ and the FBI reassured the public that they would be released, but they had to protect the victims first.
But go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims.
We're not going to re-victimize women.
And that explanation made sense to a lot of people. It was disappointing, but also understandable. So even though Phase 1 fell flat, the transparency had to be delayed to protect victims. Most Americans were willing to wait. For now. But before we get into how history was starting to be rewritten when it comes to these files, we have to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is always flooded with spam, well, this is why. You see, there's these companies called data brokers that sell your information, and they do it without your consent while making billions of dollars selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your information if you ask, they make the process confusing and difficult on purpose, which is why I'm thankful for them. Aura takes care of the hard part, automatically removing your information from those sites and keeping it off. They also monitor the dark web for your phone number, email address, and social security number, and will quickly let you know if someone is trying to use your information to open up an account. The app also comes with a bunch of other safety features as well, and even better, if something ever does happen, they'll cover you with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. So you can go to my link, aura.com/whatdoyoumeme to try 14 days for free, and that'll be enough time for you to find out if any of your personal data has been exposed on the dark web, so that way you can learn about it before these companies are forced to notify you. So go to aura.com/whatdoyoumeme or click the link down below to try 2 weeks for free. All right, now let's get back to talking about how history was rewritten when it comes to these files. Then came July 7th, when the government released a memo that stunned a lot of people. According to the report, there was no client list, despite claims from Bondi that she had it on her desk. There was also no evidence that Epstein blackmailed anyone either, just the conclusion that apparently Maxwell was convicted for trafficking girls to, well, no one other than Epstein. And this seemed like a complete reversal of what was just said months earlier. And the contradictions didn't stop there. We were previously told that we'd be given footage of Epstein's jail cell the night that he ended, since people weren't buying the official explanation that he self-eliminated.
And you're going to get the video of the cell, and you're going to see for yourself.
We do have video. It's not the greatest video in the world. You'll see no one really comes out in that bay, in that area, than him.
We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
But when they finally released the footage, it wasn't even of his cell. Instead, it showed another area of the jail, and it had missing footage, and the metadata also proved that it was edited.
The entire MCC bay was only one camera.
But this wasn't true either. Later reporting revealed that there were actually 11 cameras.
You're going to see there's no one there but him.
But the cameras that could have confirmed that were reportedly malfunctioning that day. Add to that, the guards that were assigned to monitor him every 30 minutes reportedly fell asleep, even though their internet activity suggested that they weren't asleep the entire time. An independent forensic pathologist claimed that the wounds that Epstein suffered from didn't seem to align with the official report, and suddenly it started feeling more like a narrative that was continuously being rewritten.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is Unbelievable.
Trump even dismissed the entire thing as a hoax, saying that it was created by the Democrats and that he doesn't even want the support of the foolish Republicans that bought into it.
So it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
But even the memo that the government put out claimed that there was no list. Trump seemed to acknowledge the existence of the list when he said this.
You should focus on Clinton. Focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein.
So for a lot of Americans, that back and forth only deepened the confusion. It wasn't just like there were answers that were missing, they kept changing. Remember, the memo said that there was no evidence to prosecute anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell. So while all of this was unfolding, bipartisan lawmakers continued to push for the Transparency Act. And despite reports that Trump had urged some Republicans to withdraw support for the bill, after multiple delays and blocks, the bill finally passed in November. On November 19th, the DOJ was given 30 days to release the files with full disclosure. The due date was December 19th, and this was when there was a small glimmer of hope. Maybe this would finally force them to release the files. Okay, so we're here, December 19th. The 30 days had passed, and it appeared that they were finally complying as hundreds of thousands of pages were released to the public. They were supposed to release all 6 million pages, but instead, they only released 3,900 files with hundreds of pages entirely blacked out, even though they weren't supposed to be. And even more, the next day, at least 16 files silently vanished from the website without explanation. The public reaction changed from bitterness to sarcasm. Of course there's so much redacted, and of course the files disappeared. They lost the ability to even feel shocked at this point. This is why bipartisan co-sponsors requested a federal monitor, because they felt they couldn't even trust the DOJ to comply with its own law. And this is huge because it shows that members of Congress on both sides agree that the DOJ needs more accountability around this. After being pressed, officials still couldn't give a clear timeline for full release, even 40 days past the deadline, as the Democracy docket reported that the DOJ remained in violation of the law. It created the perception that the government wasn't just protecting something that they didn't want the American people to see, but also that nothing was going to stop them, not even the law itself. Okay, but here's where things surprisingly started to take a turn for the better. After bipartisan lawmakers requested a federal monitor, something finally happened. On January 30th, the DOJ made its largest release yet. They released 3.5 million pages of the files, which wasn't the required 6 million, but it was far more than the previous releases. Maybe the system could actually correct itself. But once again, the details told a more complicated story. For months, officials said that the delays were necessary to protect the survivors and that they had to carefully redact sensitive personal information. But in these newly released files, some survivor information wasn't even redacted at all, and at the same time, names of powerful individuals that were believed to be working with Epstein were redacted and their identities were protected.
It has my full name, my birthday, my address.
Publishing images of victims while shielding predators is just a failure of complete justice.
To make matters even worse, lawmakers who were granted access to review the unredacted files at secure DOJ terminals said that 70 to 80% of the material was still blacked out, including victim statements naming their alleged abusers.
This is a victim statement. It's 7 pages long. In a victim statement, it tells what happened, who did it. It basically outlines everything that this person experienced and shared with the FBI. It was 7 pages long, and 4 of them looked like this.
And if that wasn't bad enough, during a hearing in February where Pam Bondi was pressed about her handling of the Epstein files, it only made everything worse. Not only was she deflecting questions with personal attacks and changing the subject.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records.
But we also learned that they never even interviewed the survivors that made attempts to contact them.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
It seems like this sort of behavior has gone back to at least 1996 in the case of Maria Farmer, who claimed that she alerted the FBI about Epstein, but says that they literally hung up on her and didn't make an attempt to follow up. Now, she's been saying this for years, but the FBI never acknowledged it. But in the latest release of the files, it showed that she did speak with them about it. Other nations appeared to take it more seriously, as several high-profile leaders were forced to resign, some were even arrested, and also,
the Epstein files, according to UN experts, is meeting the legal threshold of crimes against humanity.
This is what made this phase different from the earlier ones. People started to grow more and more indifferent about it all. Calls to bring down these powerful elites started to slow down, and this left the sense that the public just stopped caring.
Nothing changes, nobody gives a shit, nothing happens.
Can you tell? It's not working, you guys. It's so bad. Why aren't people more angry?
But this isn't because people stopped caring about justice. They just stopped expecting justice altogether. Saturday, February 15th, felt like the last moment of anticipation.
Tonight, Pam Bondi released the other 3 million total Epstein files.
Jones was referring to a statement that was released claiming that all of the files required under the Epstein Files Transparency Act have now been released.
As Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced in a letter that all Epstein files have been released consistent with Section 3 of the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
And for the people that were still holding on to hope, this was their moment. Either it would settle everything or it wouldn't. The problem was the expected remaining 3.5 million files were never released. Instead, not much else was, aside from a list of 318 politically exposed persons whose names appear in the files, ranging from major politicians to A-list celebrities. However, it quickly became clear that they only released the names that were mentioned in the files without any context of what their relationship with Epstein was, if any. And since everything was so heavily redacted, there wasn't any way for us to even know at this point. The significance of this move can't be overstated. They're flat out saying that there's no more files to release. They're claiming that they've released everything, despite at least 3 million more pages that are said to be known to exist. Analysts reviewing the data even noticed something else. Out of the estimated 14.6 terabytes of archived Epstein material, investigators claim that the DOJ only released around 300 gigs, which is roughly only 2%. Okay, but if you were to ask me, one of the scariest reactions to all of this is the public's response. You probably didn't even hear outrage over the latest release, since no one even seemed shocked at this point. There really wasn't more than just a collective shrug. The way that the DOJ handled this pumped a nail in the coffin for millions of Americans. If there were any remaining hope that they could trust the government to do the right thing, then all that went out the window. They no longer believe that true exposure is possible and that powerful people don't answer to anyone. And worst of all, they're now fully convinced that there will never be true justice. Now, I'm not sure that the government realizes that the consequences of this are far bigger than just Epstein. Studies now show a near all-time low for trust in the government. When asked if they trust the government to do what's right, only 17% of people claim that they did. That means more than 8 out of 10 Americans assume that the people in charge aren't telling them the truth. And when society as a whole gets to that point, then something dangerous happens. People don't just lose trust, they split. Some go numb. They stop expecting honesty and accountability. They stop believing that exposing the rich and powerful is even possible, and cynicism becomes their new normal. And others become radical. If the system is rigged, then extreme responses to the system feel justified. They start wondering why they should even play by the rules in the first place. Political extremism doesn't just feel reckless, it almost feels necessary. And when the public assumes that the powerful will never face consequences, it doesn't discourage corruption nearly as much as it quietly invites more of it. And conspiratorial thinking, no matter how bizarre or extreme it is, it seems entirely plausible. But the absolute deepest cost isn't political, it's moral. Because when people stop believing that justice is real, hope itself starts to die. Now, for those of us that are Christians, we don't have to ground the faith and justice systems inside of these institutions, since we know that it's ultimately grounded in the character of God. If justice only exists when systems function properly, then yes, we have a good reason to panic. These man-made systems fail all the time. But if justice is rooted in who God is, then it doesn't disappear when documents are redacted or even when powerful people avoid consequences. Because scripture says that everything that's hidden will eventually be brought into the light. God doesn't need the footage of the unsolved files. He knows the full truth. He knows every single victim by their name, and he cares for them. And believing in this does two important things at once. First, it means that no injustice is ultimately ignored and no abuse is permanently buried. Even when justice is delayed in this world, sometimes for years or even several lifetimes, still, that doesn't mean that it's denied. And secondly, it means that we don't have to become the final judge ourselves. If there really wasn't any ultimate justice, then despair makes sense, and even taking vengeance into our own hands starts to feel rational. But if justice is secure in God's hands, then we're free from ultimate despair. We can and we should be angry and pursue justice seriously, but do so without allowing our ultimate hope to rise and fall with the next government decision. Because in the Christian story, the judge didn't stay distant. He stepped into the injustice of this world and suffered injustice at the hands of corrupt power. And what looked like the triumph of evil became the moment where the greatest possible good was born. Justice wasn't immediate, but it wasn't defeated either. And knowing this allows for us to keep working for justice with clarity without losing hope when the system fails. All right, I appreciate all of you sticking around to the end to see this. And if you appreciate what we're doing here by providing culture clarity and gospel hope, then consider partnering with us down below, because that really does make all the difference in the world. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.
Welcome to Machine God East, ladies and gentlemen. This is just going to be a basic vlog today. No editing, no special effects. I had to do something nice for myself today because I've been in a funk. I'm not going to even hold you up. A little bit depressed, even though it was amazing here in the city. Today in Las Vegas, it's like 80-something degrees. Kid you not, here in Las Vegas. So when I got up this morning, I did not feel like going to work. I wanted to just enjoy life, okay? But I went to work, pulled myself up by my bootstraps, went, got to the bag, you know, had a little bit of an existential crisis when I started questioning, why do we do this every day? Every day we get up, we work for the machine, even though we know it, currently the machine is trying to replace us with AI, with systems that are not going to serve humanity. I heard that guy Sam Altman say that AI is ultimately going to be cheaper than employing a person for 20 years. Because if you employ a human for 20 years, that human takes up so many resources, right? In 20 years, from food, water, electricity, the stuff that a person uses, as opposed to an AI. An AI system is a lot cheaper over time because of productivity. But ultimately, what is the point of having a civilization? If you're making AI to make civilization better, civilization is all about being able to feed people, make it so that life is easier for people, right? Ain't that the point of these robots? Apparently not, right? Because they're, like I said y'all before, they're trying to get rid of the middle class altogether, so that there's the people that sit there at the top, at the very tippity top, like Sam Altman, who get to decide the fate of humanity, while the rest of us sit down here at the bottom. So when I get up and I go to work, it feels fruitless, because I'm like, dude, what am I working towards if in the next couple years machines are going to rule everything and I'm going to be some type of serf? God dang it. So I go to work to buy my trinkets. I go to work to buy my toys. And that's what we're gonna be doing today, y'all. We're gonna go into my favorite toy store in the city over here. Well, it's the closest toy store in the city. It's right up the street from my house. And we're gonna buy a toy. That's what we're gonna do. But I also want to talk about filming yourself in public, because I've seen that a lot of people that follow me are trying to be content creators and stuff, and people have asked me multiple times, why am I so comfortable filming myself in public? Here we go. Toy store. If y'all ever watch my lives, I've been here before. But the reason being because nobody cares about me. Hey, how you doing today? Good, good. Here we go, y'all.
Don't know how to get down. Let's see what we got today.
Oh, I didn't even see these before. These are like the WWE. I have Debo, well not really Debo, but Tiny Lister, and I think they call him Zeus. His name is Zeus. His wrestling name was Zeus. But they got Roboto, but he's $49.99. God damn it. Another Orko. I do like that cartoon Orko that they have there. Oh, they got Guardian, the Goddess Tila. I have this He-Man. I know y'all don't care about these toys, but I'm just kind of making a point that nobody cares about me filming myself in public. So if you want to make content, I do need her. Actually, this is the one I need right here. So I don't know if she's $29.99 or I don't know if she's $17.99, but I do need me an Evil Land if I'm being honest with you. But I kind of like that goddess Tila situation they got back there. Right there. I might just go ahead and get her to avoid confusion. Go ahead and get that one. Back here, look at her hidden. Look at her. And her green skin. I was always wondering about that. Apparently she's the avatar of the goddess. Y'all don't care about that. But we gonna geek out. And yeah, probably just go ahead and pick her up. I like that. But we'll go ahead and look at some other stuff. Look at this figure right here. Y'all remember that movie with Schwarzenegger? I forget what it was. Not Last Action Hero, but it was a thing where he played. I think it was one of those movies. Oh, I didn't even know they had Spawn toys in here. I just don't be looking, y'all. I be like, I have a lot of tunnel vision. But anyway, filming yourself. There's not a lot of people in here, so it's kind of easy for me to film myself in public. It's not like that. I'm sorry, looking at the Batman, y'all. I'm sorry. Just go ahead and go ahead. I told y'all this is a vlog, so y'all just gonna have to deal with it. And we in my favorite place. So we're gonna look at what they have over here. This is the one I'm just looking at right here. I haven't seen him, so kind of caught me off guard. Then they have the Riddler back there. I was gonna get him before when he was a lot cheaper, but I missed out. I do have him, and I have him, but that's not what we're gonna do today. But anyway, let me go. We can continue on with the day. It's kind of y'all bearing with me because trying to make myself feel better. Okay, so go ahead and buy Goddess Tila. Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing, especially in 2026. You film yourself in public, nobody cares. Everybody has a camera. Everybody records something. Everybody's doing that thing, you know what I mean? So nobody cares. But I wanted to come here today, like I say, I was feeling down this morning for a multitude of reasons. Mostly what I'm saying, right? You know, you looking towards the future for certain things and they're gonna replace everybody with AI. What are we doing right now? Shouldn't we be putting a halt to this? Shouldn't we be stopping it so we won't be replaced, right? Because I'm like feeling like I spent all that time studying how to do 3D art, which I'm obviously doing every day. But then you can write a prompt and the video that comes up is far more amazing than anything that I could produce in any reasonable amount of time without a whole studio full of people. Even a whole studio full of people can't produce some of the content that y'all are seeing on with, you know, AI producing right now. And that's the whole scary part about it, bro. So I'm like, what am I doing? So even from going to work is one thing, complain about that. Obviously going to the restaurant, work for minimum wage, tips, everything, Then you work towards a dream, but the dream is being supplanted by a machine. No, you're good. No, you're all good. Yeah, I'm ready. Just her. How you doing today?
How are you?
Yes, I'm good.
It's 25 minutes.
Yeah, here you go.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to buy 3 ounce flour?
No, I can just throw it in here.
You're
Yes, man, I just throw it in here. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna put y'all down for a second. Wait. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Up there it is. Up right here. Oh, here. Right. I'm sorry. Hold on. There we go. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Can you give us it? There you go. Yeah, okay. No problem. Yeah, no problem. Have a great night. Thank you. All right. Sorry, y'all. I had to put the phone down for just a second. Pay for my stuff. But anyway. I already feel a little bit better. You know, honestly, sometimes it's just about getting out. You know, getting out and getting around people, getting out of the house. buying an action figure. That's what it be all about. But yeah, if y'all really serious about trying to make some content and everything, just go ahead and go for it. What else is there to do? At this point, the best thing you can sell is your authentic self to the world. A machine can't necessarily do that. They can try to replicate it, but they can't replicate who we are as people, as individuals, and the things that we love, right? And we are out and about around people. Sometimes I have to do it. But they want so bad to replace like the human experience and all of that and stuff, and they can't. They can't, you know what I'm saying? They can replicate our art, you know what I'm saying? They can monetize reality as much as they can, but at the end of the day, we're still people. And when you start sucking the humanity out of everything, it's fucked up. Like, what's the point? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing right now, right? Is my question. Turn around, I know y'all like to see what's going on there. Oh, there we go. Y'all see what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. You can like literally film yourself in public, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention to you because in reality, everybody's paying attention to themselves. Everybody's in their own head. I used to have so much anxiety until I realized that. I'm like, oh, nobody gives a fuck about what I'm doing. People may glance at you for a second, and then they all back into their own little world. So if you do deal with like any type of anxiety or anything, especially when you're filming yourself, realize nobody gives a shit. Everybody has their own insecurities. Everybody's thinking about them. Everybody's thinking about themselves. Everybody's thinking about fucking and feeding and eating and doing that, all the stuff that people do. They're not worried about you, I promise you. It's a Thursday night too. Check it out. Fantastic, bro. We got a caricature artist down here. All that stuff. Y'all know, like, ooh, what we got going on? Enjoy the movie. Start with the movie, ladies and gentlemen. Let's win.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Share, subscribe, like this video, make sure you click the red button. Alright, so we're going to dive into more. I haven't got more information about what happened. Pretty much kept it pretty secret, to be honest with you. Also, I want to give a disclaimer now. I put the information for the Pure Moons in the video description or the pinned comment earlier. Now, he believes that the rapture is in Pure. I don't know when the rapture is. I know it's close, but I don't know when it is. I just want to make sure that I know how all these people, when they do these videos, that's what they're trying to portray. And that's not, I don't have any problem with that. You should be watching for the Lord at all times at this point, okay? I just want to throw that out there because that's not what I was trying to try. I'm trying to give everybody an idea of what's happening with these Pure Moons, these blood moons. Because God has warned me about this blood moon. He hasn't warned me about any of the other ones except this one. It's the only ones I've warned me about. Now, do I believe he's telling me it's the rapture? No. I believe he's telling me that literally there's something happening that leads us to the rapture. I've just come to the conclusion that he's just not, I mean, he's given me plenty of dates and times, but he's never given me the rapture. One day he's just never given me. Could it be? Definitely could be, we just don't know. But I just know we're close. Now, with everything that's happening in Iran, I'm getting a lot of reports tonight, deep intel, that they do have some weapons that we are not familiar with. So, now do I know if they got the cruise missiles from China? As far as I know right now, they haven't got them. They might already have them. I don't know. Bad part is I think we're all going to see at the same time if they do. That's the bad part of this. That's what me and my good friend Lisa, Watchwoman Lisa across the pond. So I tell you to keep those sailors in your prayers. Because I don't know what they have. I do know this. I've watched the flights going into Tehran from China since the 12-day war. Just like we have been. Trump has been literally sending stuff into the Middle East since the 12-Day War also. So one thing about Trump, he has been putting his pieces in there as well. He started out, and if you listen to Monkey at Monkey Works, he'd be the first one to tell you that the first thing Trump did before this build-up, that's why I know they're going to war, because they already set the stage, is moving Patriot air defenses, the aero defense system, the Iron Dome system are all perfectly placed. So they already knew this was coming. But when you start to add hypersonic missiles in here that the U.S. has never had to fight against, that's a different story. Are they dependable? What are they going to do? Has Russia gave them a bunch of them? Has China give them a bunch of them? That's how this thing starts. That's the only thing that's in the back of our mind we're worried about is what's happening. Listen, we know the rapture's here. Brother John and Brother Ronnie did an excellent video this morning. You haven't watched it, go over and watch it. It's very important. It goes with the Purim, it goes with all this stuff that you're seeing now. Brother Mike over there at Repo Man 64, he's talking about February 28th. Now, that's when I mentioned February 28th was the same thing that he's come out with, is that's on the Essene calendar. Okay, so that's going with the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Purim starts on the 28th. I thought maybe that's what God was trying to tell me, is Purim, to watch for Purim, that something will start to take off. We're just going to know more come Friday night. That's when I do believe we're all going to know how close we are to getting out of here. Okay? The reason I say that, because Iran, like Brother John and Brother Ronnie are telling you, all this stuff lines up. This stuff has never happened before, and it's lining up now. So things are starting to look similar now. The thing that everybody's really talking about with these blood moons is that there was 3 blood moons that lined up at Passover when Jesus was on the cross, and a lot of people believe it was 33 AD. Now, these 3 blood moons, which everybody's fighting over today, and I'm not even going to get into all that, happened in Purim. And that's the first time it's happened and the last time it's going to happen. So this has happened before, but not in Purim. It happened in the Passover. Now, here's the part nobody's talking about across the board. And let me get the video. I'm going to put it in the description box. It's worth your time to watch it. Sister Shelley really likes this guy, and I've never really listened to him before, but he's very intelligent, very highly intelligent. And not only is he highly intelligent, he's looking at the logistics of this. What kind of shape Israel is in their government. And there are some things I had to learn tonight that I didn't know myself that we're going to talk about right here in a second.
When you look at the chaos in
turn that across, flag me. Let's see, let me get over to it. It's very important. I'm going to pin it in the comment. You all can watch it. He's going to give you the layout of what's happening in Israel. There's a lot that I did not know. And a lot of stuff is adding up to what we're talking about here. Now, the channel is, RevelationChapter12.com. I will put it in the pinned comment. You want to watch it. Because he's going to let you know some things I didn't know. I'm breaking down here. All right, so when we start to see the Revelation 12 sign in September, right? In 2017, everybody thought that was when Jesus was coming back because that lined up perfectly in September. That's also when Israel started having troubles, lots of troubles. Now, after that time, the Knesset, they could not get their government together. Okay, so literally they tried 5 times and the government failed. Well, that's about to happen again. What makes it interesting is it falls right at the time of Passover. That their whole government, the Knesset, could fall apart again and no government. So this is very interesting, very interesting. I think it's like 2 days. So we're looking at around. I'm not kidding you not. The 10th of Nissan 10 is when this government could fall apart again. That's not coincidence either. If you know anything about Nissan 10, that's when Jesus comes in, triumphal entry. He's on the donkey, comes in. It's a very interesting time. But this is when Israel's government could collapse again. Now, that's why it's so important to watch what happens right now. Because you gotta remember, that's in the back of your mind that that's coming up. And right now, Israel is they're at a point in their government where they're out of control, just like the cities they remember. Jacob's trouble. So we've already saw, since it's God has put the signs there that in Revelation 12 sign, Israel starts going into all these troubles with their government. They had 5 elections, everything fell apart. They couldn't find a government, and now here we are again. This is supposed to be their super government. That's the most religious government they've ever put together, and it's ready to fail once again because there's so much inner fighting inside of the Knesset that it could definitely fall here right at Passover again. So none of this stuff's coincidence. And along with what's happening in Iran right now, all this stuff is acting up. That's why I'm telling you, keep your eyes on Jesus at this point. So we'll definitely put that in the pinned comments. You want to watch it and get a look at the history of what's happening with our government right now and the chaos that's ensued since the Revelation 12 sign, which is all signs of where we are. All right, so I've done my research on that. Like I said, that's going to catch you all up to where I know what's happening inside the government. I didn't know all the stuff that was happening, and that lays it out perfectly. So we're getting a background of how Israel's government is not going to hold up. Okay? It's falling apart. They're having a hard time just governing their government. So pretty soon, maybe even before Passover, they're completely have no government again. And it's getting harder and harder for them with all this pressure with them being surrounded by all their enemies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and all these people. They're having a hard time also. Like I said, gotta remember, since they was attacked by Hamas, they're not making money, people. We're keeping them up. What sort of a situation? Which, Lord, is the Lord, making sure this happens to keep it up. Now, people talk about, 20, 27, 28. Listen, Israel is not going to make it. Their government's falling apart. Not only that, they're having a hard time with recruitment. Hard time. They're not getting people to go into the army. So they've got all kinds of internal problems that is about to before Passover. That's what I said. You got to understand all the logistics of everything that's happening. Israel's about to implode from the inside out. Remember, it's called Jacob's trouble. That's what we're seeing. They've never had this issue until now. Okay? Never had no problems until 2017. All this stuff. And guess what else started in 2017? Iran, Russia, Turkey, started playing the same coincidence? Absolutely not. There's no coincidence when you know the Lord. That's God's sheep knows that. So all these things are unraveling. See, the clock was already ticking. People just wasn't seeing it. Now, there's another thing that's interestingly happening right now. I was talking about it. Now, if you haven't heard, Pete Hegseth's having a problem out of this drone, this AI company because he wants them to take all the safety guards off of it. Now, we talked about it a little bit earlier. But what makes this a big deal? He wants all these AI companies to take away their safeguards so they could use it. Now, what Pete Hegseth wants to do with AI is basically take the gloves off of it and let it strike whoever it decides to strike. Which these AI companies are saying, you might not want to do that because it can turn it against you. Now, what I do believe is happening here 100%, what we're seeing is Satan's convincing them. Now, remember, this is angel technology. It can be turned. And you know who? This is fallen angel technology. And it will be reversed on mankind. And I believe that's why Satan's setting up. Because if Pete Hegseth is successful here, this is the last holdout. And they're going to turn all these AI companies, merge them into one, and take all the safeguards off of them. And they can destroy every nation on this earth. That's where all this stuff is going. Now, do I believe that's going to happen? No, because when they're in tribulation, it's going to be different matters. But I do believe all this stuff is intertwined. And it could definitely be what brings down everything that we know right now. Because I believe that what we see outside every day that we go out there is coming to an end. Let's go run down. Now, there was a major, massive swarm of locusts tonight. So that also tells us a lot about where we are. But in the Western Sahara, desert tonight was engulfed by a massive swarm of locusts. We haven't seen anything like this. What happened tonight over there? These are things you need to be watchful because there's a lot of things moving right now. Now, Pentagon's first kamikaze drone unit ready for deployment if Trump decides to launch strikes on Iran. So this is part of something that Trump is going to use. Now, the Pentagon's first kamikaze drone unit is ready to participate in Donald Trump's decides to launch strikes on Iran. The drone unit is known as Task Force Scorpion and involved from a experimental U.S. military drone unit is now ready for operations. U.S. Central Command spokesperson Captain Tim Hawkins said in an email statement. Now, this is why this swarm that I'm talking about right now is controlled by AI. This is why Pete Hegseth wanted the one company to basically, take off the thing so he can let the swarm do let the AI control the swarm. So all this goes with this swarm that they're talking about. They go together. All right, so that's interesting. We've got to keep our eyes on that now. Russia opens investigations into Telegram founder Dulov for allegedly abetting terrorist activities. Iran's nearing the agreement with China to purchase the anti-ship missiles. That's another one, like I said. We don't know if they got them or they're already on the ground. We do know Iran's been pretty cocky with all this stuff, so it's very possible they do have them. And you know what they've said. I mean, they've made it very clear that they will test a nuclear weapon if they're attacked. That's what they said. Not my words, theirs. That's why I'm telling you. And now we're right in Purim. You got to pay attention to these things. The blood moon is for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. That's why God put it there. It's for the Jews. And that's the area that they're in. Russia says the British and French elites are extremely exploring ways to, once again, God warned us about this, to supply Kiev with a nuclear bomb, or at least a so-called dirty bomb. And if they keep bringing it up in the news, remember, they are all run by the cabal. All of these people are the cabal. And they're working to what they tell you in the World Economic Forum, population reduction. And they believe that this is where they're going to go. They've already told us the Great Reset was coming. All these things are added to it. They're on their way to get this thing done. That's why we're warning you. President Putin says his enemies are doing everything possible to disrupt the peace progress with Ukraine. That's a joke itself. He doesn't want peace with them. Once again, they're all involved. Iran deputy minister says Tehran is ready to take any necessary step to reach a deal with the U.S. That's not true either. Mexican president threatens lawsuits against Elon Musk. That's a joke all to itself. 12 American F-22 fighters arrived in Israel. That's how you know we're getting close. Let's see if there's anything else grabs my attention. It's coming through the main news while it's actually. See, there it is again. Iran nears deal with purchase supersonic anti-ship missiles from China. Alcohol industry has lost $830 billion over the past 4 years as Gen Z cuts back on drinking. It's not a bad thing. Bill Gates apologized for his foundation staff for Epstein. That's a joke to itself. Like I said, these people, God's going to take care of them. We want to arrest them, but God is going to make sure that that's taken care of. Let's see, Iran's president says he sees a positive outcome. That's hilarious because that's not the truth. That came out from their media. Their media is saying they're going to nuke us. So it's totally two different. This shows you. Anything the mainstream media is gone. They've been gone for a long time. They're all owned by the government and controlled. They only tell you what they're told to tell you. See right here. This is coming out from Iran. Iran says it believes Israel is plotting to drag the United States into war. Let's see. That's Claude. Claude AI. That's the one I was telling you about. Claude AI. What about that? See, China imports of Russian oil surged to over 2 million barrels a day, offsetting Russia's 40% drop in shipments to India. South Korea's birth rate rises for the second year. Putin says Europe will return to constructive talks with Russia over time. They don't have time. They don't have any time. So probably don't understand. Which these guys know it, and they want everybody else to believe they got all the time in the world. They don't have it. See right here. U.S. claims it found evidence Iran resumed nuclear weapon development, which we could have told you that was never stopped. We told you they'd end up coming saying that right before they go back in. Here we are. World Economic Forum CEO resigns. I said, no jail time for these people and what they did to children. Nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran ends after 3 hours. So the Gerald R. Ford expected to arrive off Israel's coast within 24 hours. As far as I know, they must have got the sewage problem fixed on the ship. U.S. demands Iran hand over all its remaining enrichment. They've already said no, so these things are just making it look like they're doing something. But there was something else we didn't even cover today, that Afghanistan invaded Pakistan, I kid you not, on top of everything else that's happened. That just happened out of nowhere. Chinese President Xi Jinping fires Minister of Emergency Management. Pakistan officially declares it an open war against the Taliban. Pakistan releases footage of airstrikes on Kabul, says Taliban facilities were targeted and after unprovoked aggression. So like I said, that war just started up like that, out of nowhere. U.S. officially charges cartel leader La Reina. It's another $5 million bounty has been placed on him. AA models from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google reportedly chose to use nuclear weapons and 95 of simulated war games, as I said. We want to hand over control to those guys. AI system. That's going to work. Looking for the line, I'm first switched up the last rappers now sucking ass. Full of new school niggas, I wouldn't fucking pass. Vision fucking class, they dip low, they tiptoe with these drops. Both sleep prop, now please stop. Your milk faster than the freezer, popping 100 degrees. Your milk faster than the freezer, popping 100 degrees. Your milk faster than the freezer, popping 100 degrees. You better put that work in. I murder grins, you kill grills, my steel pills, and I peel wheels, the fuel pills and heal pills like that. U.S. and Iran on the brink of war. Bloomberg confirms Iran is rapidly ramping up its tanker loadings at the island, any key export hub. It was prepared to bid to secure oil reserves ahead of the looming risk of U.S. military strikes. A similar race to load was observed in June 2025, just before previous U.S. supported strikes on Iran facilities. So they're trying to get some oil out of it. U.S. Navy 5th Fleet Headquarters in Bahrain reduced to mission control staffing ahead of potential strikes. So it looks like it's lined up for any time right now. So definitely this weekend, keep your eyes open for anything and everything at this point, because it could go just, if we do go to war with them, which we already pretty much know we do, you'll have to watch back here at home, because I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to kick off here too. You know, I think we're at that point where just be watching for Jesus. That's what I'm doing. I'm just watching for Jesus at this point, because I see too many things happening at one time. Trust the gospel. 1 Corinthians 15:1-4. Jesus died across for our sins, past, present, future. He died, was buried, rose again on the third day, according to the scriptures. Trust in Jesus and Jesus alone. Confirm everything through him, and do not take your eyes off him, people, especially right now. I expect something big to happen at any time. Could see a 9/11 event, a Pearl Harbor event, anything. Expect anything at this point. I want to say thank yous. We want to get these out for helping us with the Bibles. We got quite a bit coming in this week, and I told you eventually I would get to it. It's just I've been so busy trying to get so many things done. So I want to thank Elsie D. McCon, thank you for helping us out here. Vicky L. May, thank you. Also, Hubert Newbert, thank you for helping us out. Also from Solomon, Julie Allen, thank you for helping us out. And some of the donations that did come in, I have not gone to the bank. I will be going to the bank tomorrow. Also, David Lee Rossi, thank you for helping us. Jill, I think that's Malcolm from Louisville, Ohio. Thank you for helping us out. Also, from, once again, Stanton Solomon, always helping us out here. Let's see. Make sure I don't miss anything. I'm back for that. Plus, it wouldn't help if I could see. Also from Tina, thank you, Tina, for helping us out once again. And Miss Deborah A. Radford also for helping us out here. Let's get into some of these. All right. So I want big thanks to, once again, Denise Daggers for churches and homeless packages. Take care. God bless. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Denise, for always helping us out. Let's see. Also, First Purchases Brother. Hope these help someone. Joseph and Niggs. Thank you. They do. Everything helps in this community. Alright, so I'm amazed at how our Creator's love, how He saved a wretch like me. I'm thankful to get to share His amazing grace and His gospel through ministry. You better kiss and God bless you from Chad. It's Durham. Thank you. Also, I want to thank, let's see, for churches and calling. That's also Denise Daggers. Thank you. Also, from Jay Williams. Thank you, Jay, for helping us out here with Bibles. Also, Janine Gardner. Thank you. Also, from Denise Daggers. Like I said, she's been helping a lot. Also, Linda M. Roach. Thank you for helping us out here. Also, let's see. Donna Kennedy. God bless you for helping us out here. Also, Chad Dury, once again, and also Patty Duchette. Patty's always helping us out here. I want to thank everybody to mention PayPal, Buy Me Coffee's Cash App that's helping us get Bibles out to locations that are not here. We can send Bibles straight from Amazon straight to those locations. That's what we're doing. A lot of that's what we're doing right now. And without that, Tribulation Saints would be a mess. Let me tell you something. God's not just doing it through us. He's doing it all over the world. I can't remember the percentage of how much Bible. It's crazy. So he's doing this all over the place. So it is definitely time. That's another sign that you can see. I love each and every one of you. If I don't see or hear from you again, I'll see you at home.
The most deadliest Simpsons prediction has now officially come true. I don't know if you guys remember this episode from The Simpsons where you officially get to see that Homer basically believes that the people that are controlling this world are actually nothing but reptilians that are in the body of humans, most probably the leaders that control this world. Now, after the Epstein files, Donald Trump has now ordered in order to release the new files, which is known as the Alien Files, where the President of the United States now officially claims that aliens live among us, and they've been living among us for hundreds and thousands of years as of now, and there are hundreds and thousands of these alien files which officially now confirm that the aliens have been living among us. Now, this whole disclosure thing is happening on February 27th, which is the day when I'm recording this video. So in a couple of hours from now, after I uploaded this video, it's going to be official that the government of the United States is now officially going to be revealing and releasing every single thing that's out there related to aliens. And now Donald Trump has officially confirmed that aliens are indeed real. Now, this was the recent tweet which comes from Donald Trump, where he says, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government-related